Macy's is committed to creating brighter futures for all. Throughout June, join Macy's in celebrating Pride Month by supporting the Trevor Project, whose mission is to provide life-saving suicide prevention services for LGBTQ young people. Just round up your next in-store purchase or donate online to the Trevor Project. Shop LGBTQ-owned brands and learn more by telling your smart speaker to open Macy's now.
Welcome to Mom and Dad Are Fighting, Slate's parenting podcast for Thursday, June 15th, the Activity Overload edition. I'm Jamilah Lemieux, a writer, contributor to Slate's Care and Feeding Parenting column, and mom to Naima, who is 10, and we live in Los Angeles.
I'm Zach Rosen. I make another podcast. It's called The Best Advice Show, and I am dad to Noah, who's 5, and Ami, who's 2. We live in Detroit.
I'm Elizabeth Newcamp. I write the homeschool and family travel blog, Dutch Goose. I'm the mom to 3 littles, Henry, who's 11, Oliver, who's 9, and Teddy, who's 6. We live in Colorado Springs, Colorado.
Today on the show, our letter writer is feeling the pressure of juggling weekend and after-school activities. They fear they're doing it all wrong as they try to balance their family priorities and say no to things like birthday parties, playdates, and sports. We're also going to touch base on our week in parenting. And if you're sticking around for Slate Plus, we're going to be talking about a wild new tool for editing family photos. Here's what you'll hear if you have Slate Plus.
And are you erasing people because of privacy issues?
No, I mean, I'm erasing them because it looks better on the blog. Like, nobody wants to click on the blog photo where, I mean, I do feature some, right? Because I like to tell people, like, this place was crazy crowded. Like, do not expect this photo. But, like, my header photo, if I got all of us smiling and somebody's face is in the back or they block something, the photo looks so much nicer to take it out. But listen, I also swap heads on photos to get a great first photo. Like I have no shame in doing that in what I'm presenting on the blog because I know that people don't want to read or look at stuff that doesn't look great unless what I'm trying to show them is that, like, hey, here's what you're actually going to encounter, but here's how to get this photo that you want to show people that you went there.
As a Slate Plus member, you'll get a whole bonus segment every week. Plus, you get to listen to all your favorite Slate podcasts ad-free. It's truly the best way to listen and the best way to support the show. You can sign up for Slate Plus now at slate.com/momanddadplus. All right, we're going to jump into triumphs and fails as soon as we get back from this short break.
This episode is brought to you by KiwiCo. My most memorable moments from my childhood involve my entire family being together, laughing, or having some kind of shared experience. I'm finding that same joy doing KiwiCo kits. So each month, KiwiCo delivers crates packed with fun. The crates cover a ton of interesting topics and provide real hands-on skills for kids to explore. We recently completed the Trashkit Ball kit. Yep, Trashkit Ball. It was a wooden trash can that when the lid pops open has a basketball hoop. It has become like a fun staple of our homeschool room. And best of all, we built it together. And in building it, we learned all of these new skills. Redefine learning with play. Explore hands-on projects that build creative confidence and problem-solving skills with KiwiCo. Get 50% off your first month plus free shipping on any crate line at kiwico.com/momanddad. That's 50% off your first month at kiwico.com/momanddad.
Raising kids is one of the greatest rewards of a parent's life. But let's be real, some days parenting can be relentless. I Love My Kid, But is a new parenting podcast from Wondery that shares a refreshingly honest and insightful take on parenting. Hosted by comedians Megan Gailey, Chris Garcia, and Kurt Braunohler, they will be your resident not-so-expert experts. Each week, they'll share a parenting story that'll have you laughing, nodding, and thinking, yes, I have absolutely been there. They'll talk about what went right and wrong and what they would do differently. And the next time you step on another stray Lego in the middle of the night, you'll feel less alone. So if you'd like to laugh while listening to comedians vent about the hardest job in the world, listen to I Love My Kid, But wherever you get your podcasts. You can listen ad-free on Amazon Music or the Wondery app.
All right, Zach, what have you been up to this week?
I have just been reveling in the Noah and Ami sibling love vibes. These past couple of weeks, she's just become so, loving and protective, and they have just as he's getting older, he's almost 3 now. She's almost 6. It's getting to the point where they just love spending time together. And like many mornings a week, they just want to get in bed and snuggle. And I go in there and like Noah's got her arm around him. Aww. They were watching Clifford, the big red dog, this morning before school for a couple minutes. And I go to tell them it's time to go. And they're just holding hands. And she is now old enough to, like, if I ask her, can you, put his socks on him or go grab a sweatshirt for him or brush his teeth for him or, at least get the toothpaste on the toothbrush for him. Like she's very game and wants to be helpful and is, she's just such a sweet big sister. And I'm misty eyed all the time, just watching them. They love each other so much. And I feel very, very grateful these days for that love.
That's so lovely.
That is so sweet.
They're so sweet.
I love that. I have to, like, I don't see Naima's brother all the time, but I've gotten to observe them on that mode before, and it really is precious. I think Noah and Ami and Naima and her brother are about same age difference, and it's just so nice that they have each other.
It is.
Gotta bottle that up for the bad days.
I know. Yes.
Elizabeth, what about you?
So I feel like I've been pretty harsh sometimes about kind of old people around children and my children. And I had something very, very sweet happen. And the backstory of this is that our first week in Peru, we were on this very small boat on the Amazon River. And I would say the average age of the boat was late 60s or 70s, and then my family. And one of the things while I was there is that I just felt my parents were there too, and more kind of their contemporaries on the boat, and then, my family. And I just get very anxious about, like, are my kids ruining someone else's experience? And like, do most of these people wish that the children would be like seen and not heard, right? But like, also we're people and we're on this trip and I want them to experience these things. And so what we ended up doing is that when the little skiff boats went out, a lot of times there were 8 of us total. A boat seats between 10 and 12. We would sort of get on our own boat, right? Like I would try to segregate us. The dining hall was very small, but we had them set a table for 8 and we largely sat by ourselves so that we weren't disturbing other people. And I would just notice too that like our boat was way more rambunctious, right? Like the other boats are like looking at birds, and the naturalists on our boat, because we had these children with us, would be like, should we plunge through this jungle with the, machete? And the kids would be like, yeah, we'd be like screaming and going through. But we also saw a lot more because I had kids looking for movement. Jeff is like a great spotter. And so on occasion, we would have, the boats went out 2 or 3 times a day. We would have, a couple or something say, can I ride on your boat? And I would just feel like the whole time they were with us, like, am I ruining this person's experience? Well, we got back and I got an email from one of the guys that was on the boat, and he, talking about, our experience and about the kids, said this: they were thoroughly charming and the stars of the trip. Maybe I found them so bewitching because they reminded me of our sons at that age, smart and fun and self-confident, yet each individual and precious in their own way. Good for you for treasuring your time with them and your time as a family. And I was just thinking, what a nice thing for this man to do for me. Like to email me to tell me nice things about my family. He doesn't, like, we could have easily gone our own ways and never said anything. We exchanged information because he has a contact in Japan, and he wanted to pass that on, but to take the time to just send this to me, I think really reframed that, like, I don't have to be as on edge, and that what I think is sometimes disruptive to other people may actually be something that's bringing them some joy, and that's okay. So yeah. I don't know. I felt like after that's being so hard on on people over a certain age, this one proved me very wrong by offering some very nice perspective.
That is so sweet.
And like, think about that. Like, it took him a minute to help you reframe, your entire trip. Like just a little bit of goodwill like that can really do a lot of good.
Yeah.
Just to think you were worried about the kids ruining his experience, and it sounds like they made his experience.
What's going on with you, Jamilah?
So, Naima has had a really crazy schedule with rehearsals. There was a big performance at her school. Out of 14 acts, she was in 6 of them. She danced, she did poetry. It was like a whole thing. But outside of that, she's also had rehearsal for the summer concert at her dance school. And she's just had a lot going on. You know, she's gone to so the weekend of the dance concert is coming up and it's so booked for her. She had a concert with her dad on Friday night, and Saturday, which was supposed to be the all-day tech rehearsal for dance, we had booked her this ticket to this beauty camp. It was an all-day camp at a hotel where girls learned how to do hair. So they learned to flat iron, they learned to braid, they all got to keep their own mannequin and practice the hairstyles. That's cool. You know, it was really cool, you know, and she really enjoyed it. She's very interested in doing hair. But a couple of days prior to the concert, it was Thursday, and we were at the dentist, and I would have had to take her from the dentist to rehearsal, where she would have stayed until 8 o'clock at night, which she had done a few previous nights in the week. She says, "Mommy, I'm burned out." She's like, I really don't want to do the show. I'm too tired, you know? And she says, I've missed a lot of rehearsals because she had to miss it for school, you know, for the school dance rehearsal. And, you know, I'm supposed to miss it this weekend. I just don't feel confident in my ability to perform, you know? And we let her sit it out. And her dad wrote an email to the director of the dance company, you know, explaining. And she wrote back, and I was a little worried about them being annoyed with her, but she wrote back that Naima should be very proud of herself for making this decision and prioritizing her self-care, and that they'd miss her, but they'd see her next time. And so we didn't do the dance show, you know, on Thursday. Instead of having to go dance, we went home and had a nice evening. You know, on the day of the show, we ended up having a play date with one of her friends and her first sleepover. And she just had this really great weekend full of activities, but she didn't feel stressed out or overwhelmed.
Good for everyone in that situation.
Yeah,
that's so nice.
You, Naima, her dad, the dance instructor, what a shining example of supporting her from all angles, you know?
Yeah, I'm very glad. It would have been nice to see her in the show, but, you know, we just saw her in the show, you know? And they had 8 performances of the school show, that was... you guys. 8 performances of a 2-hour show, like, in 4 days. It was a lot.
That's 16 hours of performance.
What a difference. Like, I just can't imagine when we were little being like, oh, I'm burnt out. Like, 1, knowing what burnt out is.
Didn't have that phrase. Yeah.
And then for all the adults around you to be like, yeah, that's totally valid.
It's great.
Very grateful.
Big win all around.
Yeah. And good job, Mama, too.
Thank you.
Because you raised that and created that environment.
Thank you. Well, on that note, we're going to take another quick break. See you back here for our listener question, which is somewhat tangentially related to...
did you write this letter?
Raising kids is one of the greatest rewards of a parent's life. But let's be real. Some days parenting can be relentless. I Love My Kid, But is a new parenting podcast from Wondery that shares a refreshingly honest and insightful take on parenting. Hosted by comedians Megan Gailey, Chris Garcia, and Kurt Braunohler, they will be your resident not-so-expert experts. Each week, they'll share a parenting story that'll have you laughing, nodding, and thinking, yes, I have absolutely been there. They'll talk about what went right and wrong and what they would do differently. And the next time you step on another stray Lego in the middle of the night, you'll feel less alone. So if you'd like to laugh while listening to comedians vent about the hardest job in the world, listen to I Love My Kid, But wherever you get your podcasts. You can listen ad-free on Amazon Music or the Wondery app.
The new 2023 Ford Escape is the perfect getaway car. Featuring an available 13.1-inch center stack screen, 360-degree camera, and Bang & Olufsen sound system and spatial flexibility for extra legroom. The new 2023 Ford Escape. Learn more at Ford.com. Some models, trims, and features may not be available or may be subject to change.
Priceline presents Go to Your Happy Price. What's up? It's Kaylee Cuoco. When it comes to travel, we all have a happy place. You can see yourself already there. It's beautiful. It might be sunny and sandy for some, neon and urban for others, deserts or rainforests or hiking trails. With Priceline, you can get to your happy place for a happy price with deals you really can't find anywhere else. Like up to 60% off select hotels to Costa Rica or 5-star hotels for 2-star prices in Cabo. Go to Priceline.com and travel to your happy place for a happy price. All right, see ya. I'm off to Miami. No, actually, wow, look at that. No, I'm going to Hawaii now. Ooh, Cancun looks nice. You know what? Belize looks pretty nice this time of year. Or, Palm Springs.
Go to your happy place for a happy price. Go to your happy price, Priceline.
All right, we're back. Let's jump right into our listener question.
Dear Mom and Dad, I have 2 kids who are 8 and 5. My job makes it hard for me to help them engage in an abundance of social activities on the weekend and during after-school hours. I'm working, so it was always a no on the birthday party RSVPs and play dates. My kids do scouts year-round, are members of a low-commitment club at the library, take swim lessons year-round, ski in the winter, and play baseball in the spring. We are all home together in the summer and do quite a bit of local travel. My partner and I agreed that 1 to 2 activities a season are enough, and we will never pressure them to keep going every season if they don't like it. I see other parents and family members with similar-aged kiddos posting screenshots of their spring sports calendars and highlight reels of their kids tearing it up on the soccer field. And it just shocks me that these parents are taking their kids to these sports programs that are as competitive and demanding as the ones when I was in high school. My kids never complain about being lonely or bored, and I see them interact with a handful of close friends rather than dozens of acquaintances. Is this pressure to jump into the world of hosting giant birthday parties, overscheduling summer camps, traveling sports leagues, and just going for it with their social calendar something I need to pay attention to, or am I doing enough? Or is the answer to just do whatever works for my family so I'm not a strung-out mess all the time? This is the answer that I want. I was an overscheduled kid, and it ended really badly when I got into high school. I want my kids to be able to explore their interests, but I do not want them to burn out and feel pressure to constantly be doing these things. Thanks. Seeking schedule harmony.
Zach, what do you think?
Yeah, this harkens right back to your triumph this week, Jamilah, and my reservations that I spoke about in an episode recently about Noah getting too deep into gymnastics. It sounds like you, seeking schedule harmony, know what the answer is, but I'm going to confirm for you that you are doing absolutely plenty. And especially, having been an overscheduled kid yourself and knowing that it ends badly, frankly, your kids sound like they're pretty damn busy. I mean, scouts, library club, swim lessons, skiing in the winter, baseball in the spring. Dude, that's plenty. And forget about these parents who are posting all this other stuff. Do not let that deter you. I mean, I think saying no is one of the most important things we can do as humans, and one of the most important things we can teach to our kids. And you can't say yes to everything, and overscheduling is it's like an epidemic among I think a certain subset of families. And I think you need to trust your gut that no, you are doing plenty. And the harmony you're seeking, I think you already have, despite this gnawing thought that you have. But just forget about the reels.
They already seem busy to me. When they were reading all the activities, I already felt like that's a lot.
Yeah.
The only thing I think I can add is to continue to check in with the kids, because I do worry, if you're putting these scheduled activities that you have over birthday parties and play dates, not that you need to be saying yes to all of them, but is there any social consequence, or are your kids upset about that part, right? Because those have a different kind of free form feel than being part of these more rigid activities that you show up and you do this certain thing led by someone else versus I think of birthday parties and play dates being more working out some of that social stuff and getting a chance to do things that you wouldn't normally do and be able to lead a little bit and also learn to follow and some of those social things. But if your kids are happy and they have friends, then that's totally fine, right? I just think make sure that door is open so that they can say, like, I feel like I'm missing out on this social aspect, or I think I'm missing out on this because we always say no to these. But it sounds like you're very open to that, like talking about how making sure the activities that you are doing are things your kids want to do. I think fundamentally I'm confused why we're like all unhappy with the overscheduling, but we continue to overschedule. Like there's just like when I kind of Googled studies, it was like study after study says like the reason we added activities was because school became so much about like the academics. We wanted to make sure that kids were also getting like the opportunity to be on a team and the opportunity to like learn to swim, like these things that they weren't doing and weren't being taught because so much of their time was occupied like in school. But now it seems like we feel like they need to do everything as opposed to saying like, well, this was supposed to meet some of these other needs. And the studies really talk about how the kids need a lot of like unstructured time and time to like play and think about things and to be bored, right? And then I think on top of all of the activities, it's like we have to drive them to these activities and they have to like be transported there and it needs gear and you have to prep for it. Like why are we doing this?
It's, we're looking at other people and thinking they're doing more than us and feeling like we're not giving or doing enough. But I agree with you to the letter writer. You all are doing a lot of stuff. It's not like your kids don't have activities. They've got plenty of activities, and they're building meaningful friendships with people, which something we talked about in a recent episode is difficult for kids of this generation, and so it sounds like you've got that going for them. They've got, activities that are useful and they're enjoying them. You're doing great.
And it sounds like well-rounded activities too. Yeah, the kids are all right.
Yeah, I think we just need to take a second and think about why we're doing these activities. Like, is it just to fill the time because you need the time filled? Are you like hoping that they become something else, right? Like, is it for enjoyment? Is it for making friends? Like, I don't know that we give that underlying reason a lot of thought. We just kind of get caught up in like, well, everyone else is doing all of these things. My kid needs to do it, right?
Mm-hmm. I mean, maybe it's symptomatic of just like us, all of us, being afraid of just like dealing with the void, like the emptiness, whether that's just like having 10 minutes of like open space in your schedule or like, always being on your phone. Like, I think we struggle with just sitting still or just like being out in the woods and looking around. It's not really something that our culture is emphasizing at the moment. And I think we probably have to work harder than maybe we think we do just to like carve out that empty space. But I think that space is super important for our well-being, just to have any kind of source of semblance of, equilibrium or peace in our minds and souls.
Everybody's family is different. I was thinking about this too. Like when you look at social media or wherever you're looking to see that everyone's doing this, like you don't know if maybe the kids need to be in all this stuff because it's a place for the kid to be while mom and dad are working, right? Like there are so many other reasons too. So I think trying to compare yourself to what you're seeing without knowing the family situation, if it's working for you and you feel like your family is like everybody's needs are being met and you're not stressed out, I think you've done it right. Stay out of the rat race.
Yep.
All right. Well, seeking schedule harmony, thank you for writing in. Everyone else, let us know, how are you balancing your kids' schedules? Send in your thoughts, advice, or questions to momanddad@slate.com or leave a voicemail at 646-357-9318. We may feature your message on a future episode. And that's our show. Please subscribe, leave a rating and review, and tell your friends. This episode of Mom and Dad Are Fighting is produced by Rosemary Belson and Maura Currie. Shasha Leonard is the voice of our listeners. Alicia Montgomery is VP of Slate Audio. For Zach Rosen and Elizabeth Newcamp, I'm Jamilah Lemieux. Thank you for listening.
Hey everybody, it's Tim Heidecker. You know me, Tim and Eric, Bridesmaids, and Fantastic Four. I'd like to personally invite you to listen to Office Hours Live with me and my co-hosts, DJ Doug Pound.
Hello.
And Vic Berger.
Howdy.
Every week we bring you laughs, fun, games, and lots of other surprises. It's live. We take your Zoom calls.
Music.
We love having fun. Excuse me?
Songs.
Vic said something.
Music.
Songs.
Music.
I like having fun. I like to laugh. I like to meet people who can make me laugh. Please subscribe now.